Gate of Persecution and City Walls. Approximately 900 meters long, the city walls surrounding the Basilica of St. John have two sections as internal and external city. The inner walls were constructed in Justinian's period as supporting walls. The walls are made of beamed stone and have a niche construction at the east and west of the church. In the 8th century AD, for protection against Arab raids, strong city walls were constructed to surround the church as well. The external city walls were supported by 20 towers, and reused materials brought from Ephesus and the Temple of Artemis were used as construction materials on the gates. The main gate, the so-called Gate of Persecution in the south, has remained the most intact of these entrances. The Gate of Persecution has square plan towers on both sides and an arch entrance at the center. The upper section of the arch contains a sarcophagus surfaced with reliefs of Eros. Beside this, there were other reliefs found in the 1800s depicting the battle between Hector and Achilles. This great basilica was built in the 6th century and was known as Justinian Basilica to honor the burial place of the Apostle St. John, who came to Ephesus in company with the Virgin Mother after the death of Christ. It contained 6 95-foot high large cupolas that covered the main aisle. It has been determined that if fully restored, it would be the 7th largest cathedral in the world. St. John was so honored that the size of the cathedral might have been larger if it were not for the limitations of the topographical area. The Emperor Justinian and his wife Theodora made large financial contributions, and her name inscribed over the big capitals, which crowned the beautiful marble columns. An inscription was carved in the marble over his tomb, which read, "This is my resting place forever. Here will I dwell." Legend states that when the tomb was opened in later centuries, it was found to contain only dust that quickly dissipated in the air. The life of St. John. According to the council sources of Ephesus in 431 AD, it is generally accepted that St. John came to Ephesus together with the Virgin Mary somewhere between 37 and 48 AD, where they spent the remaining of their lives. While Jesus was being crucified, he entrusted his mother to St. John, his most loved disciple. And after this, the disciple took her into his own house. Believer of this opinion claims that John and Mary, they never parted from one another. And when St. John came to Ephesus, the Virgin Mary was with him. There is no doubt that St. John was in Asia from 67 AD onward. However, St. Paul came to Ephesus between 55 to 58 AD and added new congregations to the first ones that had already been founded by another apostle. St. John, who started to preach the gospel after 67 AD with St. Bertus, was twice threatened with death by the Emperor Domitianus, and he was able to rescue twice by miracles. John was later exiled to the island of Patmos, where he wrote The Revolution and returned to Ephesus in 95 AD. He spent the last year of his life on Ayasuluk Hill in Ephesus, where he wrote his Gospel and letters. When he died at approximately the age of 100, he was buried there, according to his last request. In the era when Christianity began to spread, by 3rd to 4th century AD, a martyrion or monumental tomb was built over the grave. Later, a basilica with a wooden roof was built around the martyrion. This is the monumental tomb of Saint John, which you can find in Seljuk. Legends and miracles. During his time and until his death in Ephesus, Saint John preached about Christianity. According to legend, before he died, Christ, along with all other apostles, visited John. As the story unfolds, the following Sunday, Saint John continued with his preaching of Christianity before finally informing his disciples of his time. Then he entered the cave of his church, whereupon an intense light shone, preventing his disciples from entering further. When the light dissipated, so did Saint John. His legend was furthered when the opening of his tomb during Constantine's reign yielded no body or relics. Another fact that continues to advance the legend of Saint John's assumption into heaven is the fact that while all the other saints' body or relic has been claimed by at least one or more city or church, Saint John, along with Mary, the mother of Jesus, is the only saint whose body is not claimed by anyone or anywhere. It was also said that Saint John was not dead but sleeping beneath his tomb, and each time he breathed, he would cause the dust around his altar to stir, which in turn made them holy. Because of this, the dust called manna was said to be able to cure the sick. The stories of Saint John and the manna continued to grow and even caught the attention of Saint Augustine, who could not dismiss them outright. The Anglo-Saxon Willibald, who later became a bishop and a saint, also heard of this and was one of the first many recorded pilgrims to the tomb of Saint John. The tomb itself acted upon its miracles every year on May 8, during an all-night festival in honor of Saint John for nearly 1,000 years, prompting many pilgrimages throughout the medieval period. The pilgrims who journeyed to Ephesus did not leave empty-handed. Flasks were produced at St. John's tomb for the pilgrims. These flasks usually had a saint image designed on it as well. They were used to collect the dust and would appear around St. John's tomb, which was then carried back to the pilgrims' respective homeland, where it was said to have performed miracles by curing sickness and even calmed storms on land or sea. Chapel and Treasury Hall. The section with apse that was covered with a wooden roof in the north of the transept of the church was planned and constructed together with the Treasury Hall. The building with apse was later transformed into a chapel. The frescoes of the apse depicted Saint John on the right, Jesus Christ at the center, and Saint Timothy or an abbot on the left. The treasury next to the chapel, discovered in 1978, is a square building with a central plan. At the center, inside is a circular area, 6.3 meters diameter, with sections and corners rooms around it, opening to the center. The upper section of the central place is covered with a dome, and the side sections have two-story architecture. The holy treasures of the church had been stored in niches facing each other located in the sections opening to the center, which are in shape of the arm of a cross, which is also found in the upper gallery. The only known comparable example of the building is the circular planned Hall of Treasury next to the Church of Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. The treasury was in a quite good condition when the Turks captured Ayasuluk and used as storeroom for a while. However, its holy objects and treasures had previously been plundered by Catalan mercenaries. Remaining valuables were given to Fukaika as surety in return for wheat by the Turks after 1304. Later, these treasures were probably sent to Constantinople and the great churches of Europe. Baptistery. Located within the northern section of the church, the baptistery is one of only two baptisteries with a complex plan in Anatolia. The baptistery, a similar example of which is located in the vicinity of the episcopal place inside, has an octagonal planned central section as well as the surrounding corridor, and triangular planned corner rooms that opens onto this corridor. The halls with apse in the east and west of the central section were planned to pre- and post-baptismal ceremonies. The baptistery was wholly constructed together with the wooden roof basilica of the pre-Justinianic era in the 5th century AD, and carried on being used together with the domed basilica in the era of Emperor Justinian. At the very heart of the building is a round baptismal pool with a 3-step staircase on both sides. Pedestals placed to the corner of the niche proved that the columned inner architecture was very impressive. Inner part of the central dome was covered with glass mosaics because many fragments were found during excavation. There is baptism pool with 3 steps on each side of the center of the room. Small square pools were placed for priests to do baptismal ceremonies. These type baptism pools were used for who deserved to get in church after baptismal ceremonies during 5th and 6th centuries AD, when Christianity spreads quickly. The fountain placed south wall of the baptistery is dated to 6th century AD. The atrium. Located to the west of the church, the atrium measures 34 by 47 meters. Substructures were constructed beneath the sections, where the porticos were located, in order to create this atrium. There are columned and arched porticos on 3 sides of the atrium with an open central section. The stoa or strolling area, unique to Byzantium architecture, was planned built on the exterior of these porticos. Walking roads ornamented with parapet slabs was constructed for view landscape of Ephesus Bay. Among the mosques and baths from those days, the most outstanding monument is the Mosque of Isabey. According to the inscription on the portal, the patron of this mosque, Isabey, is known as a scientist and the protector of scientists. The mosque was completed in 1375 by the architect Ali, the son of Damasin. Plan of the mosque is different from Seljuk and Ottoman mosque, and it measures 51 meters by 57 meters. It has two naves parallel to the mihrab wall. The central portion is surmounted with two domes, and the naves on both sides are covered with gable roofs. I am heading to Ayasuluk Castle here in Selçuk, Turkey. According to the ancient sources, Ephesus was founded in the second half of the second millennium BCE. The first finds support this prescience were recovered in 1960 at the Gate of Persecution. In 1990, during repairing of the eastern fortification near the citadel, the earliest pottery finds of Ayasuluk were recovered. Early Bronze Age, 3000 to 2000 BC, and Middle Bronze Age, 2000 to 1500 BC. Potsherds unearthed in 1996 excavation showed that the settlement on Ayasuluk Hill continued not only Bronze Ages, but also during geometric and archaic periods, 1200 to 560 BC. Consequently, Ayasuluk Hill probably was named as Apasas or Ephesus in the prehistoric and Ionic periods, and was the main city until Croesus, the Lydian king, 500 BC. Then the settlement was moved to the Artemisian area by Croesus. However, the city had to move again when the harbor was silted. When Lysimachus, a commander of Alexander the Great, founded the Hellenistic and Roman city, which is visited as Ephesus today, Ayasuluk Hill was used as only citadel. Nevertheless, the hill regained its previous importance in 7th century AD during Byzantine period and had been called Hagios Theologios, Alta Logo, and became the center of Ephesus. In 1304, Aedinogulari was captured the region. Then the region had been become the capital city and named as Ayasuluk. The citadel, which is located on the highest point of Ayasuluk Hill, to the north of the Church of St. John, is like a crown over Selçuk. Behind its proud look, its long past is hidden. The walls seen today belong to Selçukid Ottoman periods. As in the outer fortifications, the citadel walls were built with rubble stone and spoils and are strengthened with 15 towers. The citadel has two main gates, one in the east, the other in the west. Inside the citadel, there are palace, cisterns, a mosque, houses, a Turkish bath, and a vaulted cistern still standing. Palace of Isabey was found during 2009 excavation. Vaulted cistern was originally the apsidal part of a Byzantine basilica, but was converted to a cistern by adding a column and two arches and building a barrel vault as a roof. The rocky platform which the structure is situated is on the hilltop. According to the tradition, St. John wrote his gospel on this beautiful hill and prayed there. This church might have been built for the memory of St. John. So that's the Castle Mosque, which is located near the center of the citadel. The small mosque contains one minaret and one dome. It is one of the structures that you can see inside the citadel that are still standing. The basilica cistern was a water reservoir with its upper section covered with vaulted ceiling. The structure, was turned into a cistern during the Ottoman Turkish period, was originally a Byzantine-era Christian basilica. It is the oldest structure to have built on Ayasuluk Hill. Cisterns. There are 5 Turkish period cisterns in the inner castle. 2 of them are located near the west gate and other 2 are near the east gate. The last one is the basilica cistern. Their interiors are heavily plastered. Their roofs were covered with a stone vault. These cisterns were also supplied with rainwater. The west cisterns are smaller than those on the east. Continuing excavations in these cisterns shows they were used as smoking places for soldiers in the 1800s because hundreds of cigarette fragments have been found. And that's the small tour here in the citadel at Ayasuluk, the castle in Seljuk, Turkey.